Hello, I'm Dr. Maria Grandi, and I'm a physician at Student Health Services here at Brock University with a special interest in mental health. Today, we're going to look at some alternate ways for you to deal with the stressors in your life. Hopefully, methods that are more productive, more healthy, and will allow you to move forward and achieve whatever goal it is that you wish to achieve. Remember, if you wish to change, you have to actually be open to think, feel, and behave differently. A habit takes 12 weeks to change. Patience is a virtue in this case. Consider what I'm about to present as an opportunity for you to move from being stuck to being free. Today's segments will consist of two topics. The first one will be about journaling, and the second one will be about letting go. Today we're going to be talking about the stream of consciousness. When you write something down on paper, what happens is it brings something out of the depths of your unconsciousness into your consciousness and helps open up a part of you perhaps in your psyche that you weren't aware that was there. So today we'll be talking about journaling. So before we start the participatory component of our session, I'd like you to think about something that may have happened recently that perhaps didn't go the way you wanted it to go, that maybe was unpleasant. Think about the reaction you may have had inside your head, maybe against yourself or against the people who were the perpetrators of this displeasure. Think about your immediate reaction to an unpleasant situation and write it down. Once you're finished, if I could ask you to fold it in half and just put it somewhere so that we can refer to it later. Thank you. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about narrative medicine. What narrative medicine is, it's about how we as human beings are, the stories that we believe in are what we live in our lives. So being able to understand your own story and to write about it may allow you to rewrite your story so that the past stays in the past. Your present is being recorded on a regular basis and becomes a new past. And therefore, as you work with your journal into the future, then you can see where you started and see your own progress and be able to actually chart your course of progress and growth. We don't need to continue to carry the burden of guilt, shame, or any other negative emotion in our lives. If you think about it, you were a child when a lot of those memories that plague you now got set into your heads. So what we do with journaling is we work through some of those things on paper. What I'd like you to do now is take a different piece of paper, please. And on this paper, there's 3 things we're going to write about. These 3 things are going to look at motivation. So how do you make change? Because that's what we're talking about, right? With our journals, is to look at how we can make changes in our lives. The 3 things that you want to do, and I'll go one by one, write down something about yourself that you would like to change. Nice and short and brief, please. Something about yourself that you would like to change. Now that you've done that, think about what your values are. that would contribute to you wanting to make the change. For example, let's say I was in my teenage years, my young adult years, and I wanted to be a doctor. I didn't want to be a seamstress. So what would motivate me to change my mind? In my case, I would want more independence. I would want to be able to be more free to move around as a physician. And there's probably at least a few more other things, but I've got 2 values that were important to me to make the change. Think about for yourself. What would motivate you, or what value would lead you to want to make a change? 2 is enough. Now that you've got those 2 value statements, or value words, whatever you've written, I'd like you to consider, looking at the first 2, how will you get from your values to the change? What steps would you take? Just one example. What steps would you take to get from putting your values into action to get where you want to go? In my case, going from a seamstress to a doctor, because I wanted to be independent and have more mobility, I would make sure I went to university. And I would make sure I had a degree in sciences. And I would make sure that my marks were top. That's how I would get where I wanted to go. Who would like to volunteer for this assignment to share with us?
I'll go first.
Thank you, Deanna.
The one thing that I wanted to change about myself would be more a positive self-talk. So not being so hard on myself all the time. And the values that I think go with that is just not being so reliant on others and caring necessarily about other people's opinions of myself. And something that goes along with that is being more independent. Mm-hmm. And to get to that point, I think that I would need to motivate myself to try things on my own, try new things that I want to do, and get involved with people that I haven't met before and try new things with them.
So let me just restate what you said. You would like to become more positive in regards to your own view of yourself. Why that would happen is that you want to be more independent and less reliant on other people's opinions for your self-esteem. And how you would get there would be by experimenting and having people that share your values to help you move forward. Did I capture what you...
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. How is yours? Is yours a little different, Jade,
Yeah.
from Deanna's?
I said that I wanted to be more time oriented, so have more time management. And I said I wanted to succeed and be more independent as well. So by doing the things that were important, by managing my time, I could accomplish my goal and succeed, and then not rely on others affecting my own time and space.
So your goal, I will try and restate that one. Yours was a bit more complicated for me, so bear with me. My understanding is you want to get a better handle on your ability to manage time.
Yeah.
The value behind this goal is that you want to be able to be more successful and use your time more efficiently and effectively. And the way that you're going to do this, I'm not sure I'm clear about. How would you go about being more time efficient?
Just realize organizing it in what needs to come first. So the goals, determine what goal I want to accomplish, and then organize it in what is important.
Very good. So the manner in which you would implement your values to succeed would be that you would actually start taking a survey of how you actually use your time. And as a consequence, then you could think about where your time does go. And you can then prioritize where you prefer to spend your time as compared to where you have been spending your time. That would help you very much in time management skills. Would that be accurate, what we just discussed?
Yeah.
Thank you. As we conclude this particular segment of the mental health series, I'm going to ask you to open up the piece of paper that you had written upon at the beginning of the session. If you look at what you wrote, is there some way that what you wrote may be less critical after we spoke about the different ways of growing, of moving forward, using writing? Yes?
Yeah.
Oh, Jade.
All right, so I said in this situation, how could she go behind my back and expose me? So maybe she was helping me in a favor by seeking other people's opinions to help my situations out.
Okay, so you could see the other side of what may have been going on that you weren't there to know about.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Deanna.
Mine was school related, so I wrote down like why didn't they finish their part of the assignment, and now I see that I have to look at the other side, so I could think maybe they had a lot going on in their life that I wouldn't know about, like they couldn't finish it because something was going on that weekend or something like that.
Right, you never know what other people's values and goals are and what they've set as an intention for themselves. There may be a misplacement, a mismatch of goals. There may be things that were out of their control. It's only a guess, but you may not need to be as harsh. In summary then, having a journal allows us, as I've already mentioned, to look back at our past, see what we've been, stay present, and reflect, and then as we move and use the tools that you've learned, we'll basically become the past and your future. So you have a new past, and your present stays in the present. Thank you for attending today. Welcome. Thanks for coming in on such a beautifully sunny day. Today's session is about letting go. The reason letting go is so important is that that's what helps us move forward. It opens up spaces in our heart and in our heads to have new experiences, new thoughts, and to forget, in a way, what's happened before. As we do this, we become kinder and gentler people to ourselves and to those around us. And that helps us in our relationships. So, one of the tools you'll now learn about is letting go. Consider something that's happened that went not quite the way you wanted it to go. It went wrong, badly. However you want to label it. You're unhappy. You may be unhappy with yourself or someone else. Usually with yourself. Let's use that as the example. Write down what your brain may be telling you as you are reliving that moment. For example, I failed my exam. First of all, in my head, it's like, how could I do that? How will I make it through med school? I may be really sad, unhappy, thinking of the consequences, but then, if I had more time to think about it, other thoughts would develop. But I would be calling myself a number of not very pleasant names, or any names perhaps I wouldn't want to say on video. I'd like you to think about something that's happened to you and what happened in your head immediately afterwards that was not so healthy for you in your head. So if you write that down, please. Any questions before you start? Okay, thank you. I'd like you to just forget about what we've just done right now and just listen. I'm going to just read a story to you about something that happens in India. And I'd like you, as I read it, to think about how this may apply in the context of today's session. They say that in India there's a particularly clever way of catching monkeys. As the story goes, hunters will cut a hole in a coconut that is just big enough for the monkey to put its hand through. Then they drill 2 smaller holes at the other end and put a wire through and attach that coconut to a tree. They will then put a banana inside the coconut, where the larger hole is, and climb up into the tree. Any ideas what the monkey will try and do?
Get the thing.
Absolutely. So the monkey will put its hand into the hole in the coconut where the banana is hiding, hold on to the banana, and then try and take it out. What do you think happens next?
He can't get his hand out.
Can't get his hand out, or the banana. So the monkey took a risk to get some food. However, the monkey can't get its hand out and the food at the same time. So the hunters are up in the tree. What do you think happens next?
We catch the monkey.
They catch the monkey, and then they have monkey stew. This is what letting go is about. If we don't learn to let go, we can become that monkey. I don't think any of us want to be stew. We stew up ourselves sometimes, but we don't want to get into that situation. So letting go is an important concept. What we just spoke about when I asked you to write things down, we were talking about our judges. Those voices, not that were psychotic, but those thoughts and the thoughts that run through our head and criticize us. They may be from our parents, from bullies. We're not sure where they came from, and that doesn't matter. What matters is that you know that you have judges. And if you've been following the news, you will know that the Supreme Court is going through some changes right now. So if you think about the Supreme Court judges and how they can be very unhappy or give some very negative criticism or comments, what you want to do is open up a space in your panel of judges so that you can recruit a judge who is on your side as compared to being against you. So by identifying your judges in your journal, as we spoke of earlier, then being aware of the judge and looking back and being able to say to yourself, is this a true statement? Or is this just something that's been going on? It's a bad habit I've got of thinking this way. If you pull out the statement that you wrote earlier and make a column, make 3 columns underneath. You're going to do your 3 columns. In the first one, you're going to be able to write down some evidence that supports your negative thought. The second column will be evidence that does not support that negative thought. The last column will be where you become more aware, cognizant of what a more balanced thought could be, what your new thought is. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Okay, so we're going to get started with reviewing what you've written. Who would like to volunteer to share their first statement and what they've done with their 3 columns?
I can go first.
Thank you.
So my original negative thought, a few years ago, I didn't get into the program that I originally applied for at university. So my first thoughts going through my head was that I was stupid because I'm not going to be successful because I didn't get into that one program that I applied for. But then the other evidence that doesn't support these negative thoughts is that it just wasn't meant to be. It doesn't mean I'm stupid because I didn't get into that one program. And my new thought after I went through that was that it was just a new opportunity because I got into a different program that I hadn't really explored. So yeah, that was how I changed that negative thought into something positive.
And I'm hoping, this is sort of the good news item, I'm hoping that you're enjoying the new program you're in.
Yeah, I am.
So you've discovered basically that it wasn't a closed door that occurred, it was more that it allowed you to see a different open door. So you changed your perspective, therefore.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Becca, I'm going to ask you if you don't mind.
Mine was about, I didn't do as well on a test that I'd like to. So like my initial thoughts were like guilt and sadness and that like I wasn't good enough for that class. So the support for it was I could have studied more. Doesn't support was it's only one test, so it really, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't matter. And my new thought was I can do better next time and like learn from my mistakes of how my studying was.
Excellent. And one of the things, Becca, that you said that I try to encourage people to consider is that there are no mistakes. There are opportunities to learn new items and look at things in a different way. Once you learn from your experience that perhaps you could have studied more, for example, that perhaps you can allow more time or better studying techniques. So that, again, it was only one test.
Exactly.
So, balanced thinking. In summary, what we have just practiced is cognitive diffusion. So you take a thought and you spread it out so that you actually are able to move away, become more objective instead of subjective. You can move away and you can see really the value of what that negative thought was in the scheme of your life. That there are other ways to look at things, and it takes a moment to do so. Congratulations.